profile interview segments this week, I'll be speaking with the Vice Chairman, Joint Aviation Trade Unions Forum. He brought us up to speed on the reason why the trade unions decided to shift grounds and suspend the proposed industrial action. He also brought us up to speed on what the association expectation is from the incoming government. It's good to have you on the program.
Thank you.
A lot has been happening in the aviation sector, most especially the two-day warning strike that happened about a week and some days ago. Can you bring us up to speed on why it was expedient for workers to embark on that industrial action?
Thank you so much. You know, before we go for that, before we embark on that two-day strike, we give a lot of warnings. And the problem we're having by then, if you can recall, is that of condition of service. It's not ready. Some of the establishment, but 8 years no condition of service. It has been reviewed and it's not done. And consequential adjustment. You can remember when there was increment in the salary 2019. So some of us actually, there's some establishment they were able to get it, but NIMET, Nigeria Meteorological Agency, they couldn't get their own. Although we got the information that by the grace of God, by the end of this month, they'll get their own. But we cannot agree until we see it on ground. So those are the issues, and we try, and nobody listened to us. That's why we say, okay, let us just go for one strike.
So for how long have you been writing to relevant agencies without feedback?
We have been writing. We follow all the due process. You know, you can't just go for one strike without following the due process. We make sure that we follow due process, you know, because aviation is a delicate place. It's a safety security place. So you can't just embark without following the due process. So we make sure that we follow due process, and by the time we follow due process and nothing is done, we just go for that one strike.
Okay, so I witnessed the warning strike and it was pretty intense. Personally, I had to walk a distance for me to even cover the proceedings successfully. But I remember very clearly that after the two-day warning strike, there was this information that there was going to be a 7-day ultimatum, which expired some hours ago. Can you bring us up to speed on what the next line of action was?
The next line of action, we met with the organs, and we decided to give some time because National Assembly, they were able to come into the process. When they see the way we are going now, the Minister of Aviation also, he called us for the meeting. We have a Zoom meeting with him, with the leadership of all the unions. So we see reason why we should give a little time. And because of that leadership of National Assembly come into the situation, we agreed that, okay, let us give a small time, small window so that we can discuss. And there's going to be a meeting with the Salary and Income Wages Commission on 9th of May. So we are thinking that let us give them that evidence of doubt to sit down with them and see how it will go. And I'm praying maybe during that meeting we can be able to actualize all the process, because the issue of NIMET, as I told you earlier, by all indication with the information we are getting, like they may likely get their own cost share by the end of this month. But the issue of COS, that's a serious issue. We are trying to see how it can be done. If by that 9, everything becomes okay, then we don't need to go for any strike. And if you can remember, there was even the, let's say, workshop organized by both the union and the Minister of Aviation. And we spoke at length. Seriously, we bring the items into the table, and by all indication, I can see that there's some evidence that we may likely achieve. Because initially, the problem we're having is lack of information. There's some information that we don't have, but now, with this particular coming together, we are able to understand ourselves. So I believe that that 9 will be likely reach somewhere.
Okay, so which means by the 2nd of May, Nigerians will know the next line of action from the aviation workers. But generally, if we look at one of the challenges that you're faced with, is not just peculiar to the aviation sector. It's also, there are so many other sectors that are even faced with it. Even some government establishments are faced with it, which is a consequential adjustment in salaries. So from your experience as a labor leader, would you say it's acceptable for minimum wage to be passed into law? And yet we have some private individuals and government body or even corporate body that do not implement this. What effect does this have on the livelihood of workers? How have your members been coping in general?
If you look at the situation in Nigeria, the Nigeria country, and the way our value, the naira value is down. If you look at that 30,000, cannot even take you to anywhere. In fact, cannot even buy you a bag of rice. Took lots of years or other things. So for me, I think something has to be done. We have to look at the value of the naira first. And it's been too bad for any government in this country, either state government or local government, see that they cannot be able to pay that minimum wage. To be sincere with you, in the aviation industry, I think we don't have much more problem on that. Apart from the NIMET, even the NIMET, the reason why they have this issue of problem because they are still in the IPPIS. You know, they are not like NAMA, INSEE, and some other ones. So I think
it's
that's
an agency.
Yes, I think that's the reason. But by all occasion, the way I look at it now, the family secretary assures us, the last meeting we have a meeting with him on Zoom, he confirmed that by the end of this month, they are going to get their money. And don't forget that there must be arrears because it's going to be effective from 2019. So I believe that I don't think there's any issue on that one.
Okay, beyond going on strikes,
Yeah.
beyond going for picketing exercise, there's also this growing concern of workers on what their livelihood will look like, or what their well-being will be like when they retire.
Yeah.
As a union or as an association, are there any steps that the union has taken in recent times towards ensuring that workers plan for retirement?
Yes. What we normally do is that there must be a training when you're about to retire, let's say 2 years before retirement. They will take you for training, and that particular training will maybe give you a way whereby after you retire, what you can do. Because if you look at the whole life, is that it's either 35 years or 60 years of age, you must leave the service. And luckily for us, to be sincere with you, especially in NAMA, when you retire from service, within 6 months, everything will be okay. I don't know also other establishments, but NAMA, they are doing very well, and I believe that if there's any issue somewhere, we will know. So I believe, as far as aviation industry is concerned, when you retire from service, there's no much hiccup, you can get your money in time. I'm sure of that one. We don't have much more issue on that one. Once you retire from service within 6 months, you can be able to. And don't forget, aviation industry also, there are some other establishments like NCA. When you retire from service, if you need to work maybe in NCA now, you can be able to go there and work with NCA, or maybe in INCAT. So because our own field, if you look at it, is professionalism. So the more you are professional, the more marketable you be. And you can even join the airlines and so other things. So that's why actually our retirement, when you retire from service, most of our people, when they retire, you may not even know that they have retired from service because you always have something to do. But that one does not mean you must get your entitlements, which is very, very important. Once you retire from service, is your limit, you must get that your money in time. And the best thing you can do is that once somebody finishes the service, pay him. Because there's no way somebody can pay at that state at 5 years of service or 60 years of age. And after you finish that, you start struggling to get your money. I don't think it's good at all. It's not good. And that the unions in aviation we are working toward that. Even there's a board, most of our members, they are part of that board. So we don't joke with that one. We thank God for that. And I think as aviation is concerned, we don't have that type of problem.
So moving forward, what should aviation workers expect from the union?
Aviation workers should expect much more for now, because the only problem we have for now, I think, is the issue of training. You know, aviation work is not static, it's always dynamic because there's a lot of changes. So that's what you are looking for. If you are lacking anything, I think it's the area of that training. Because it's not just a matter of structure, but the training, retraining. Every day we need that one. And they don't forget that aviation training is very costly. Most of the training we normally undergo is not even in Nigeria. The only aviation college we have for now, which recognizes is Nigerian College of Aviation Technology in Zaria. They're actually doing their best. But a certain training also, you cannot get it here. You have to go outside the country. So we don't joke with the training, because without training, you cannot be able to make it. And also the equipment. Don't forget the equipment we are using is very costly. It's not even manufactured here in Nigeria. So this is where the money is going. And locally for us, we are very lucky that the honorable minister we have in aviation now presently happens to be a pilot. I think he's working toward that. So I think as far as the minister is concerned, whether we like it or not, he's working toward that. The only thing he needs to do more, because that is not enough.
So would you say that the expatriate quota in the aviation sector is okay?
Yeah.
It's not being abused? Actually,
it's not being abused because we have enough expatriate, and actually they are getting what they are looking for. That's why we don't normally bring people from outside. The only one maybe is, I think, some foreign airlines. And if you look at that, you have to do either wait, lease. So that's the reason why you will be seeing them. But as far as we are concerned in Nigeria, we have enough pilots, we have enough engineers. So we don't need to go somewhere to bring anybody here in Nigeria.
So if we have enough of professionals, would you say that the industry needs to be more robust so that we can employ more of those people?
Actually, certainly, we need to be more robust. That's why this national carrier, we're looking for this national carrier to come. And we are not happy the way it happened. It did not happen up to today. Because we have enough people, we have enough engineers, we have a lot of pilots. And, in fact, there's even some pilots we have in Nigeria that normally go outside the country. We have more than enough. So the only thing we can do, we have to sit down together to make sure that we achieve, even if it's a national carrier, we can achieve. We need to have a national carrier in Nigeria, seriously. Because anytime we are going foreign country, we are not happy, flying. If you look at Ethiopia, when they start, you see the way they are going. Nigeria Airways, anytime you remember Nigeria Airways, anytime I remember, I feel so sad. Anybody who can remember Nigeria Airways actually is quite unfortunate. So, but still we can do it. It's just a matter of mind. If our mind is okay, we can do it. But I even appealing to airline operators of Nigeria to please calm down. Let us look at this issue. Instead of us to be going to court, you know, the federal government and the airline operators of Nigeria, they are in the court. Let's calm down. Let's sit down together and look at this issue, because this court cannot talk. We are Nigerians. We have a lot of resources. We have a lot of opportunities, which I believe we can be able to do it. Please, let's come back to Nigeria, sit down together, look at it, so that we can solve the problem. This court issue cannot take us to anywhere. We have a lot of people, we have a lot of resources, and the airlines, they are there. We have airports everywhere. We have people that are traveling. If you go to the airport, you see the way Nigerians are traveling, you'll be surprised where they are getting the money every day. So this money is going somewhere. So please, we need that so that we can be able to salvage this country together.
All right. Yes. Finally, let's talk about aviation infrastructure.
Yeah.
I'm very much aware that the infrastructure is not what it should be like.
Correct.
How are your members responding to the state of infrastructural facilities in the country?
To be sincere with you, we can be able to do it within ourselves if we can be able to do it. That's why, you know, the minister is talking about this concession of the airports. You know, because of infrastructure, anytime you go to the airport, you can see that maybe things are not working. But I believe we can be able to do it. It's just about our mindset. We can be able, I'm telling you, Nigerians were very, very, very good. If we can be able to agree to ourselves, I believe in Nigeria that we can be able to do without even go to anywhere. But anybody who's traveling, when you travel outside, if you go to Cotonou, or maybe you go to any airport within the African countries, you see the way they operate and that of Nigeria. I agree that actually there are some differences. It's not good at the same time. But I believe that we can be able to do it. The only thing we can do as Nigerians, let's sit down together and look at ourselves. If I want to do good, I know. Everybody you see has a good side, has a bad side. So Nigerians, if you get a good Nigerian, they can go beyond the way you are thinking. And by the time you get a bad Nigerian, also they are doing the bad more than any other place. So the best we can do, please try to use the goodness we have in us. Because everybody has the good side and the bad side. So I'm appealing to even aviation workers in Nigeria, please let us use the good side we have so that we can be able to be somewhere. But I know in Nigeria we can be able to do it. We don't need to go to anywhere. Now this issue of making our airports okay, that we can be able to do it, it's just a mindset. By the time we get the materials and we associate to ourselves, we can be able to do it.
Okay.
Yes.
I know I've said final notes, but it just occurred to me that I'm sure the aviation workers will also have their expectations from the incoming government. Yeah. Is there anything you would like to share in terms of what will be your expectation in the next dispensation? The next
dispensation, I believe that when they are coming, they know that we don't have a national carrier. That is very, very important. It's supposed to be the one issue we should get, national carrier. Please, any government that's coming now, let it be that number one priority. Let's have our own national carrier. It's not good. Do you know that when you are traveling somewhere now, even in Africa, you have to go to Europe? You know, do you know how much it will cost you for you to buy a ticket from here to America or to Canada? Or maybe to even European countries? It's very costly. So if we can be, and even Nigeria, we are losing a lot of money. By the time we have our own airline, we'll be able to generate a lot of revenue. It's another way of making revenue generation. If you go to Ethiopia, most of their GDP is from that airline. They're getting from there. So we can do it in Nigeria. We have people that are traveling, and we have the potential, and we can be able to make it. It's just a mindset. And I believe with Nigerians. As you see me now, I believe with Nigeria and Nigerians. And I know we can do it. Yes.
So all aviation workers want is a national carrier.
Actually, what we are looking for now is national carrier. Then number two, also the condition of maybe our working conditions. Then our welfare. Because, you know, if you look at the way we are working now, we need to have, the work. You need to have everything on ground before you start, because your mind is supposed to be at rest. It's not good for you. You are working, you are thinking of what to eat, or maybe you are thinking of what to buy. How much are you going to pay for the school fees for your child? No, it's not good at that way. Aviation work, you need to have your mind at rest so that you're not thinking of any other thing. You're sure that by the end of the month you get your salary. The training also, you have to go for your training as at when do, and you get your money as at when do. So by the time you have that one, you do the best. Because it's the work that you don't need to be thinking of anything, because it has to be with the life. It's a concentration. They need 100%. And there are no hungry man cannot concentrate. Hungry man is always an angry man. So we need to get the welfare so that we can concentrate, so that we can do our job very well. Yes.
Thank you very much for your time. It was an interesting time I had with you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
And that's all we can take on today's edition of the program. Join us next week for a fresh edition of the show. I am Sharon Ijasan. Thanks for watching, and remember that labor creates wealth.